meantime, defending the president's decision to withdraw from the Paris deal and says science is actually on his side. From weatherbell.com, we welcome in our friend Joe Bastardi, the meteorologist there. And good to see you, Joe, Skyping into us this evening. I know you say the president, and we've had these discussions over the years, has science on his side. As I was saying to our first guest, Chris Horner, he thinks he has economics on his side. It seemed like more of an economic than scientific argument, but pick up on the science of it if you would.
Well, I agree 100% with Chris. In fact, he knocked it out of the park, and the president knocked it out of the park. Look, here's the fact of the matter. If you look at the past record of the Earth, everybody believes in climate change. The question is, how much is man contributing to that? Now, the entire 10 million year geological record, there has been no linkage between CO2 and temperatures in the variations in the Earth's climate. Now, people are opining, well, this is the first time, but you're throwing out, you're denying, if I may use that word, 10 million years of previous records that show none of this is going on. In addition, climate optimums were times that were warmer than what we are now. That's another thing to keep in mind. And here's the thing. Are you going to formulate policy based on computer models that have been horrendous? I work with these things every day. Even in 10 to 15 day forecasts, they're all over the place. And the chaos of the atmosphere and the variance of the atmosphere leads to these things. Finally, look at the progress, and this gets to the economics, which is what this is really about. Look at the human progress in the fossil fuel era, and the great irony is, as Chris was pointing out, the wealth created in the fossil fuel era makes it possible for people to research these things, makes it possible for people to advance. It's called progress. You know what? Here's another thing at a personal level. Okay, I'm 61 years old, so I come from back in the 60s and 70s. I cannot deal with the fact that our inner cities are collapsing the way we are. If this is settled science, what are we doing throwing billions and trillions of dollars over the longer term down the drain when we can't even feed our own poor in this country? And that's something everybody ought to think about.
Let me ask you this, Joe, because and your argument is well taken, because as we said, this is an economic debate, I think today at least, more than a scientific one. That said, I do want to ask you about the settled science part of it, because every single time this story comes up, and today is no exception, there are articles written, and I've read them, and I read another one today, that say something to the effect of, if you look at the peer-reviewed climate science papers, more than 97% agree that it's real climate change, and it's likely caused by human activity. And you say?
Colin, what is not revealed is only 32% of the people that question actually answered that, and all those people that answered it had written papers supporting climate change. If I walk into New York City and ask, hey, who are you rooting for around here in baseball, the Yankees or the Mets? I wonder what would happen if you stack the deck in any kind of survey.
So do you make yourself scientifically the opposite argument about, do you subscribe to the opposite argument, or is your point just that we just don't know?
Well, my argument is that you have to believe that the increase in 1 part of CO2 for every 10,000 parts of air in the atmosphere, 1 molecule for every 10,000 parts, over the period of 100 years now, folks, now beats the sun, the oceans, stochastic event, the design of the system, which the weather is always going to vary and have conflict. So you're going to say, throw all that out, and we've increased this, again, 1 part per every 10,000 parts. That's a stretch at best.
Okay. It's always good to talk to you. It's always interesting to talk to you, Joe Bastardi. Yes, sir. Go ahead. One last quick point before we go.
Yeah, the climate does change. The question is it worth crashing our economy with draconian rules that they want to put on us?
Goes back to our original point, economics. Joe Bastardi, thank you. Fox Programming.